Hello and welcome to the ordeal. So it occurs to me that my channel is quickly becoming a movie review channel. It seems like I don't even think I watched that many movies. But as I stated in a previous video, I recently flew to Asia and back. And if you haven't flown in a while, the airlines have become very accommodating with entertainment on the flights. And on an American flight like Delta, United, whatever, you're going to have access to hundreds of movies, hundreds of TV shows, things I've never even heard of before. I, however, did not fly on a American flight. I flew on Eastern China Airlines because I was going to Asia, and they don't have nearly as broad of a selection as the American Airlines do. So, I had gone through everything that I hadn't seen and wanted to see. I mean, they had movies on there from over a decade ago. They had the original Incredibles movie on there. Good movie. I love that movie, but I've seen it. I don't need to see it again. They had almost all of the X-Men movies on there. They had a bunch of movies I'd never heard of, and I tried watching a couple of those, and they were just unbearable. So I had to turn them off after like 5 or 10 minutes. The thing is, like I said, I went through all of the movies I had wanted to see, and a couple that I didn't want to see. And so it came down to, well, I'm going to watch this live action Aladdin movie and see how good it is. Now, I could have done other stuff, yeah, but the way that Eastern China runs itself is they want all the windows closed while in flight. And you can turn on your light, of course, but everybody's there, it's dark. People are trying to sleep. And even the girl next to me, she accidentally turned on her light, and a few minutes later, she sits up and looks over to her boyfriend, and I thought I heard her say, "Who turns on a bright light when people are trying to sleep?" Accusing me of turning on my light. And it wasn't my light, it was hers. She was an unbearable person to be around. Did not like me at all, and it became very clear within a few minutes of me sitting down. So I had other things to do, like I said, but I didn't want to turn on my light and disturb people. Uh, so I continued to watch movies. And sleeping is not something that I do easily, so sleeping on a plane is not going to happen. Especially when I was sitting in economy class. I should have purchased the business class ticket or even first class, honestly, because it would have been worth it, really. The thing is, I hadn't seen this movie, so I thought I would give it a shot. Aladdin, the movie Aladdin, is Disney's best movie. Now, I haven't seen the what is it, Beauty and the Beast. I haven't seen that, so I don't know if that's any good. The story never really appealed to me that much. Maybe it's great though. I just have to look into it and see. Aladdin was Disney's peak, if as long as you don't count like the Pixar stuff. The Pixar stuff is Pixar stuff, in my opinion. Aladdin is Disney. The other movie that's really good that was Disney's is The Lion King. Right? We know that. Those two movies, Aladdin, they came out about the same time. Aladdin and Lion King, best two movies that Disney ever made. This live action version of Aladdin is terrible. Oh man, it took the best movie they ever made and they just made an abomination. It was so bad. Oh man. The acting was not good. The story was different enough that it's just cringy woke garbage. Okay? Not surprising, right? Robin Williams is rolling over in his grave. He is. It's just a tragedy. His performance was so right for the role. Not that Will Smith did a bad job, but the other characters in the film, and I don't really picture Will Smith as a genie. It just doesn't, especially a comical genie. He just doesn't fit the part. And that was the thing with all these actors; they didn't fit the roles they were given. The guy who played Jafar should have been playing Aladdin. The guy who played the Sultan should have been playing Jafar. He had the look and the feel of Jafar. The the princess's handmaiden should have been playing the princess, and then the princess should have been playing the handmaiden. The thing with the princess is Sure, she was an attractive woman, but she was nowhere near perfection. And that's what I want to see in my princesses. Is I want to see them to be just above and beyond everybody else. And the handmaiden had more of the, those physical qualities that make her stand out as a truly beautiful woman. The guy who played Aladdin, he just didn't quite fit the role. It was like being in the uncanny valley. If you don't know what the uncanny valley is, you probably want to look it up. But it's basically when you're trying to make something look human, but it doesn't quite look human, and it sits there just looking really awkward and cringy, and you just don't like looking at it because it's not human enough, and it's not non-human enough to be okay. Like we can look at a cartoon character and be like, hey, that's a cartoon character. It's clearly a cartoon character. We're okay with that. And you can look at something that looks realistically human and go, yeah, that looks realistically human. We can look at that. Stuff in between, it's just cringy. And that's kind of how this Aladdin character, this Aladdin actor was. It's not that he was an uncomfortable person to look at. He just didn't fit the role quite right. It was just like, it's just, he's not quite fitting that. And it's enough to be like uncomfortable to watch you play the part. And now we can come to some of this woke SJW garbage that Disney's putting into every film they make now. I don't understand how people cannot see how this is inappropriate behavior. It wouldn't be a problem if, say, people were making the Witcher TV show and there was not a single person who wasn't white in that whole show. Wouldn't have a problem with it. But the fact of the matter is, you make a show like The Witcher, and everybody's, oh my God, you got to have people of color in there. It's so unfair that you don't have people of color in these shows, and it's not a reality, so you might as well put in whatever you want to anyway, and all this garbage. And I'm like, no. The fact of the matter is, culturally, at this time period, in Poland, everybody would have been white. Every single person would have been white. Maybe in one episode somewhere you could come across a person who was not white and be like, oh, my friend from the Far East or something, or oh, look, we're a group of travelers from the Near East, something like that would be fine. But in this film, diversity is you got brown people and you got black people. You do have actually white people in the film, believe it or not. They are portrayed as barbaric, stupid, and ignorant. There's just a small group of them that are shown for a short period of time. They have come from a foreign country to court the Princess Jasmine. And yeah, I'm not exaggerating at all when I'll tell you how they're portrayed as barbaric, ignorant, and stupid. Not an exaggeration at all. They are portrayed as really stupid, like obscenely stupid. Because white people can never do anything good. It's all a farce that white people have achieved anything in the world. Just look at Wei-Wis Kangs, right? There's African people who will tell you that we were living in a paradise and the white man came along and ruined it. It's like that's not really how reality works. The only way that you can lose paradise is if you let people take it from you, right? If you're living in a utopian society with all this great technology, you're not going to let some primitive culture force you out of that. I mean, you might let them, but that would be the only way they're not going to come in with force and go, yeah, we're going to use our clubs and our wooden spears here to overthrow your tanks. That doesn't happen, right? If you got a bunch of native Africans, I mean African natives, like people who live in tribes and mud huts, invade the United States, that battle's not going to last long at all. How it worked out in The Return of the Jedi, don't get me started on that movie. I just finished my Farce Awakens series. Man, that movie. So that's how white people are portrayed in the film. They're only in it for a short period of time. There is a very, very light-skinned Arabic woman in the film, and of course we have to have the push for white people mating with or forming interpersonal relationships with black people, and that is in the form of course a white woman, and this is this very light-skinned Arabic woman dating Will Smith. in the film, marrying Will Smith, having children with Will Smith, because you're not allowed to have anything that isn't racially mixing. But you ever notice this? How 99% of the time, when you have this push for racial mixing, these interracial marital relationships, it's always a white woman with a man of color. I don't. I mean, I know why they do that, because that's the way that you get rid of a race of people. It's truly how you do it. If you want to get rid of a race of people, you don't have the man being the race you want to get rid of. You have the woman being the race you want to get rid of, because she's the one producing the offspring. She's the one now tied to that other race. The man can walk away, right? So you have a white man who is producing children with a woman who is not white. He can walk away from that relationship and never be a part of that interracial relationship again. Whereas a woman is stuck with the children. It's more of a way. It's a better way of, if you want to get rid of a group of people, it's a better way of getting rid of them, having the woman be the race you want to breed out. And we all know that there are people who actually want to get rid of the white race.
The chief said Muhammad also told officers he hates white people. All three victims were white men.
Y'all racists grafted white devils. We will continue to bring destruction and wrath upon America.
Postings on its Facebook page contain racially charged images and videos. Police were already searching for Muhammad.
So yeah, there's that. Now moving on back to the movie, the acting is often wooden and stiff, and it looks like everything is shot on a stage, which possibly everything was, but I don't know why they were going for that look. It looks terrible. It looks like a cheesy 1960s film. And Disney has the budget that they could do amazing stuff, right? They can shoot on location and have like authentic looking sets made. Everything is really shiny and bright, and I don't like that. The jewelry in like the Cave of Wonders or whatever it is, it's really shiny, and it distracts from the action of the main character. The clothing they wear often is really bright and vibrant. Now I don't know if that is accurate to the time period. Somehow I doubt it, that they would have these really bright, vibrant colors all the time, like really bright yellows and bright reds and bright pinks and greens and all this. Maybe it's true. I don't know. I found it distracting. I would like to see something that was dumbed down a little bit, dulled down a little bit somehow. The other cringy stuff, the princess becomes sultan and saves the day. She does have a little song and dance number. I think it's mostly just song. Talking about how she doesn't need no man, how she has her own voice and people need to listen to her because she has important things to say. Yeah, it was really. I couldn't even watch it. I had to fast forward through it. It was so cringy. I watched about half of it. I'm like, this is just. Oh man, yeah. Now today in the modern world, yeah, we have that. Women have as much voice as they want to. They haven't always throughout history, depending on which culture you were in. And there's actually a good reason for this. Actually, a very good reason for this. Many very good reasons throughout time for this, actually. It's not like men are standing here going, we need to keep women down. We need to like put them in their place. Sure, that happened. That has happened in many cultures and many different time periods. That has happened. But typically when that does happen, it's one factor out of many. Women have not been given all of the freedoms and responsibilities of men throughout history because they had other more important responsibilities called raising children. In modern United States of America, we've seemed to have forgotten that women have to do that. And what we do is, hey, yeah, go back to work. It's fine, go back to work. You know what we're going to do instead? Give your kids to a stranger to watch. We'll be fine. It's fine. It's fine. And you know what? On top of that, the stranger has to be female. You notice all this equality we have to have, how diversity and this and that and the other thing, and gender is a social construct, blah, blah, blah stuff. You ever heard of a male daycare worker? Maybe they exist. I've never seen one, never heard of one. And I can bet you money that if there was one, he would be accused of inappropriate behavior on a regular basis. just because he's a man. Yeah, so women throughout history have had to raise children. They've had to bear and raise children. That impacts their ability to hold a career. And women have always worked and done things to support the family financially. So I use that as a broad term. Like they've always provided food and shelter and things of that nature. Whether that comes in the form of money or comes in the form of actual food and actual shelter. They've always done that stuff. It's not like women were always sitting at home just going, "Yeah, all I'm doing is taking care of the kids." No, women typically had an herb garden in medieval Europe. They tended the herb garden right outside their cottage or whatever, their home. They would grow spices and small food plants in the herb garden to help their family. And they also were in charge of being a seamstress, sewing. These are things that women did. So it's not like women have never had an active role in society. It's not like they just sat at home and men went out and did all the work and kept the women in their place. And there are very good reasons why women were not given positions of leadership. Because typically the leader went into battle. And when you have to swing a sword around to kill your opponent, gee, guess who's better at that? Men or women? Which one's going to be better, generally speaking? Men. Men are just bigger and stronger. They're better at that. Women, of course, did have combat roles in ancient times, and they did even have fighting roles in ancient times, but it was by far the exception, not the rule. And as far as all of you out there think, oh, well, martial arts will even the playing field, potentially, yes, but you have to remember that the other side is practicing martial arts as well. And having practiced a lot of martial arts in my lifetime, I can tell you right now, if I'm evenly matched with somebody, it's skill. If they outweigh me, if they're taller than me and bigger than me, which I'm not a very big person, they win. Hands down. I've taken on people who were bigger and stronger than me and had more skill than me. Of course, they always win, but yeah, I've taken on people who were bigger and stronger than me and I had more skill than them and I win. But you think that the other army is not training? Both sides in martial combat train. So I digress. So the cringy "I Don't Need No Man" song, which was not in the original, it's towards the end of the film. It is so bad. Oh man. And then the Sultan makes the princess the Sultan. Instead of the Sultan changing the law so that Aladdin can marry Princess Jasmine like he did in the original film, he was just like, oh, I'm going to make you Sultan. Go do whatever you want to do. I don't know the history of sultans. I don't know that there ever was a female sultan. I mean, a sultan is in a Muslim country where women, their word is worth half of what man's word is in court, right? They don't have as much value as men. They never have had as much value as men. So I don't know if there were any female and they would be called sultanas. I don't know if there are any sultanas in ancient Arabia or ever. Period. There were actually, in a sense. Let me explain this to you. The term sultan or sultana would often be used just to refer to an aristocrat. So the princess would have been a sultana already. She would have been called a princess, but people could have referred to her as a sultana, as just generically speaking. Like we can say, oh yes, the royalty, you know, the sultana, the female royalty, or that female royal. Um, so in that regard, she would have been a sultana, but I don't think that she would have been allowed to lead the country ever. I think they would have had a system of putting men into that position. So for the sultan to give her the title of sultan, I don't think that would fly in that society. What do I know though? I'm not Arabic. I'm not from the Middle East. Yeah, really cringy version of Aladdin. It just does not work as a live action. It's shot on what I mean, it appears to be shot on stages, and it just looks like it's really low quality. And I know that Disney can do really high quality stuff, So yeah, I'm so fed up with Disney and their garbage. Don't see this film if you do see it. I mean, it's got a pretty low rating on Rotten Tomatoes if you look at that, and I don't know anybody who would really think this was a decent film. I don't know how it's got the rating that it does. It doesn't earn this rating. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully, the next thing I do is not going to be a movie review. We'll see what happens out there in the universe, what comes my way as far as video ideas. I hope everybody's having a happy new year and be productive. We'll see you next time.